Well, now that the course is over, there are a couple of questions I'd like to ask you guys. First of all is, what aspect of the logical thinking process did you find most intriguing or potentially most useful? Robert?
I think the process is complete in the sense that you're able to define clearly what you want and go all the way through to the implementation.
Okay.
So even though there are many parts of the process that I think could be used by themselves, I think the whole process is important for me as a CEO, for example, to be able to go through and actually make sure that we implement the different things that we have decided to do.
Okay, very good. Thorsteinn?
Yes, I have to agree with Robert about the completeness of the of the thinking process, and what especially if I compare it with most other approaches to analyzing situations and formulating strategy, then you put up something on the wall, and at the end you are satisfied with what you did. I think with the thinking process, you put up something on the wall and you figure out that you have to go deeper. And that's the big difference in my mind.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting observation. I haven't heard that from too many people, so that's a good contribution. You may remember on the first day, I said that when the course was over, you wouldn't see the world in quite the same way again. Do you think I was exaggerating? And if not, in what way has your perspective on things changed?
I think you were not exaggerating, actually.
Okay.
And I think this has led me to understand that there is a lot of different applications that you can use these tools for, and get them to help you both in your professional and personal life to a much deeper extent than I imagined before.
Okay, that's good. Robert?
And I would argue the same. I don't think you were exaggerating. And there are a bunch of things that I think have been important for me. First is that the process, although you can use it in a sense for strategic development for a company, for example, you can just use it in anything you can think of. And for me, for example, was important because I have decided what the most important things in my life are, and the whole process that I have been doing here, it's with regards with my life and what I want to achieve as a person. So you can actually implement this in many different settings, and that's, I think, one of the most powerful things about the logical thinking process.
That's a good observation. Do you guys have a favorite tool from all of the ones that we've covered? And if so, what is it?
I don't know if I have a favorite one. I would argue that it depends on the situation. So, for example, to me, it was very interesting to understand what the different goals and critical success factors I have in my life in order to be able to be and to have a fulfilling life, which was my goal. But at the same time, if you are in different other situations, it depends, and that different situation will actually give you another tool or use another tool. So, for example, the evaporating cloud I use in everyday life, and it depends on the situation, but I can use it just right off the bat and solve a problem with a different perspective than before, because I did not understand how to get a win-win situation, and right now it's very clear to me how to get a win-win situation. And the other thing also is that usually what I have found in a position as a CEO in the company is that many of the people who work with me come up with a plan to do something, but they don't figure out exactly how to get there. Those tools, the future reality tree and the prerequisite tree, are very helpful to make sure that we don't agree upon time for a project, for example, without understanding really what needs to be done in order to get that done. And usually what I have found is that many of the people that work with me give me a timeline that is never
not realistic,
and is never on time. So the promises are broken.
Yeah, that sounds So that's very encouraging to hear that. Thorsteinn, what would you say your favorite part of the process was?
Yeah, I think it's very difficult to differentiate between the tools in that way, but if I judge from these 6 days, then I think the most exhilarating experience for me was actually constructing the gold tree, because it's so intellectually demanding to go through it.
It is that. It absolutely is. That's wonderful. And finally, I would ask you that if you were to recommend this course to somebody that might benefit from it, who would that be? And I'm not talking necessarily about a specific individual as much as maybe somebody holding a particular position in an organization. Who do you think could benefit the most from it?
I think CEOs of companies, definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
I would argue the same, but since it's so versatile, you can actually ask anybody.
It's scalable.
Yes, to come. Even, for example, if someone is starting to think about going to college and start thinking about what they want to learn or who they want to become, they can come too, and they can
life planning,
for example. So at the end is whomever wants to achieve a goal can come here and go through the whole process.
That's great. Well, thank you for your time and your feedback. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.